Let's talk a little bit more about this stunning new reporting in the Washington Post on Russian President Putin's meddling in the U.S. presidential election. Democratic Congressman Eric Swalwell of California is joining us. He's a member of both the House Intelligence and Judiciary Committees, which are leading investigations into Russian interference. Congressman, thanks for joining us.
Good afternoon, Wolf. Thanks for having me back.
So this new report claims the CIA captured Putin's specific instructions on the cyber campaign's objectives to defeat or damage Hillary Clinton and her campaign and help elect then-candidate Donald Trump. First of all, were you aware of this specific intelligence?
I can't go into what we know on the classified, Wolf, but the public report that was released in January talks a lot about what's in the Washington Post. It's unsettling to read it again. And, you know, the way I interpret it is that there was smoke coming out of the kitchen. The response was to open the windows when we needed them to really take a fire extinguisher to the problem. And I believe they worked very hard to toil away and understand what Russia was doing, but it certainly was not enough, and not enough awareness was known by the American people when they went to the polls.
Yeah, Obama administration officials had said near the end of the campaign in early October that this was being done at the orders of the highest levels of the Russian government. They didn't specifically say Putin personally. They didn't say that after in that report you're referring. This is the first time that there has now been released, according to the Washington Post, intelligence specifically saying Putin ordered it. He wanted Trump elected. He wanted to damage Hillary Clinton, whom he supposedly hated. Do you want to just comment on that?
Yes, I think that this demanded the president to deliver an evening address behind the Resolute desk before the election to lay out what a foreign adversary was trying to do so that Americans could have gone to the polls understanding that the fake news that was being disseminated, the social media trolls, and the peddling of the hacked Democratic emails was done by a foreign adversary with a purpose in mind, to elect a preferred candidate and to tear down someone they despised.
Why didn't President Obama do that? Why was he silent? The Washington Post is reporting that he just assumed Hillary Clinton, according to the polls, was going to be elected, and he didn't want to give any ammunition to the arguments that Donald Trump and his campaign were making that the election would be rigged.
I don't know why he didn't, Wolf. I greatly admire President Obama. I wish that he and the administration would have acted differently here. But what's important now is we know what they did. And we have a president today who sits in the Oval Office who doesn't appreciate the attack that occurred, that doesn't acknowledge it. And so you have people around him who do, like Dan Coates and Mike Pompeo and Mike Rogers. But if everyone in the car sees there's a problem, but the guy behind the steering wheel does not, that doesn't help any of us. And we're going to go into 2018 even more vulnerable.
Yesterday, President Trump tweeted that the Russian election meddling, in his words, was, quote, a big damn Democratic hoax and a scam. Would President Trump have been aware of this intelligence that was reported today in the Washington Post? I assume as President of the United States Commander-in-Chief, his intelligence community would have told him the same thing.
We hope that President Trump, if confronted with evidence like this in the future, would act to secure our elections. But he has done nothing, making us more vulnerable to an attack going forward. And Wolf, also, the cost of this attack has not only been that the integrity of our democracy has been undermined, but our ability to work here on health care, on jobs, for the future for our kids, it's all been brought to a halt. We need a president to understand we were attacked. We're going to do something about it, unite Republicans and Democrats, and move this country forward. We're not getting that right now.
I want to play for you what the president said in a Fox News interview this morning about Robert Mueller, the special counsel. Listen to this.
Well, he's very, very good friends with Comey, which is very bothersome, but he's also, we're going to have to see. I mean, we're going to have to see in terms, look, there has been no obstruction, there has been no collusion, there has been leaking by Comey, but there's been no collusion, no obstruction, and virtually everybody agrees to that. So we'll have to see. I can say that the people that have been hired are all Hillary Clinton supporters. Some of them worked for Hillary Clinton. I mean, the whole thing is ridiculous if you want to know the truth from that standpoint. But Robert Mueller's an honorable man, and hopefully he'll come up with an honorable solution.
I want your reaction. Specifically, he says the whole thing is ridiculous.
It's not ridiculous, Wolf. It's a serious inquiry, one that he has continuously tried to disrupt, whether it's the congressional investigations or James Comey's investigation. We need him to just get out of the way. He needs to be president and lead this country. We should all root for his success in doing that and play our role to use the subpoena power in Congress thoughtfully and aggressively to get to the bottom of what happened and report back to the American people.
Have the Comey memos of his conversations with the president been turned over to the House Intelligence Committee? Today's the deadline for that. Also, the deadline for an official White House letter, not a presidential tweet, an official White House letter about the tapes or the recordings that may or may not have been made. Have you received both of those so far? And I assume you want them by the end of the close of business today.
Yeah, there's still time today, and I can report back to you, Wolf, when that closes. But I will say this, Wolf. He tweeted out yesterday, it read more like a lawyer had written that tweet, that tapes do not exist. And then that really raises the question, so why did you say it? And if the reason he said it was to intimidate James Comey, it has ultimately backfired because James Comey, knowing that he may have been taped, came forward under oath and provided damaging testimony about what the president was trying to do. So now we have that's the only version in the record under oath, and it's uncontradicted. And I think that tells us a lot about what this president was trying to do.
So you're confident you'll get both the Comey memos and the letter from the White House about the tapes by the close of business today?
Well, if we don't receive the memos, I hope that we receive an explanation as to why they're not being turned over. If it is involved in an ongoing criminal probe, that would be something for us to consider as to whether we still want to pursue it. As to the tapes, I think we deserve more, and the American people deserve more than just the president's lawyerly tweet.
Congressman Eric Swalwell of California, thanks for joining us.
My pleasure.